Good morning. Good afternoon, Malaysia. Welcome to the Lim Ren Live Show, the Success Stories series. Now, this week's our guest is very special. This week's success story guest is the young and amazingly brilliant Nick Ng. He is a real estate company founder that specializes in overseas property real estates. He manages and he sells properties overseas. Nick started his young successful career from the beautiful town of Ipoh. He is a Ipoh boy. For that, we give them a clap, right? A St. Michael's alumni, a graduate from Curtin University, and started his own real estate company at the tender age of 26. And he made his first of many millions before the age of 30. Specializes in property investment in Australia, USA, and Europe. He is the man to see if you want to invest in properties outside of Malaysia. Now, learn from this young dynamic leader the formula to make it young and early. So let's welcome the amazing Nick Ng.
Thanks, Renan, for introducing me. I think you did told the audience where I come from.
Of course. Nick, you're a young guy, you know. He doesn't look like he's 27, right?
Of course, I'm not 27. I wish I was.
Of course. Nick is this young and upcoming property mogul, you know, that specializes in overseas properties, you know. And I know you for like maybe 5 to 6 years through a common friend, you know. And I knew that he has always been in property, and you has always been doing overseas property in particular. He has never stepped foot. You have never sold something local, right? You have always done overseas.
I have actually through my another setup, my Hong Kong setup, we do, but we specialize too in foreign properties.
No, it is selling Malaysian property to foreigners. He never sell Malaysian property to Malaysians. That's the problem, right? But Nick, tell us a bit about yourself, your family.
Yep.
Tell us this handsome man, Nick Ng.
So, like you said just now, I was born in this town of Ipoh. I'm the youngest of 3 siblings. My mom is from Kuala Lumpur, she's from PJ. And my dad, my grandfather, are from Ipoh, and they were tin miners. So we had mines, and in my younger days, my father was running the mines in Batu Gajah and in the town of Kuping.
So, you are from a good family. You are the 4th, 5th generation of tin miners of Ipoh.
Yes and no. Unfortunately, towards the late 80s, the tin mining prices dropped a lot actually. So my father decided to close down the mines, and I think we had BMWs and maids then. So that was the day that the BMW left our house. But then he went on to move into the construction industry.
Right. So you actually came from a good family, but what did that legacy left the family? You know, besides having the money going away in the 80s, what else did it leave you guys?
Okay, my parents, my dad and mom actually worked quite hard to put us through an education. So my eldest brother went to boarding school in Australia from a young age. He's 10 years older than me. My sister went on the same path. She went during uni. I was halfway there because I studied in St. Michael's, that was high school and stuff. Then I went to KL to do college. So in between, I always thought I wanted to do my own business. So I actually spoke to my dad and said, why don't you give me some money, my education money, and I opened a car yard and sell cars rather than go to Australia. So unfortunately, he didn't agree. So I ended up going to Perth to further my studies.
Tell us a bit about the experience of you going to Perth and further study. I heard there's this thing about Leonard, you know, on a last minute kind of thing, pull you to Australia.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to Melbourne to live with Michelle and Nanette, my brothers and sisters, but then again I thought if I go there again it's just same as staying with them, so that's why I chose to go to Perth. But on the first day I arrived in Perth, I sort of started to regret it already. So I was walking with my uni mates, and then we took a round to the city. I think it's less than 5 minutes. We just that's the end of the town, and it closes at 5 o'clock. So I said,
Then what happened? But you stay there, right?
Yeah, I had to complete my education there. So I think I spent most of my time either in the Taven in the uni, or at night when studying, just go to the casino.
For the other part, the casino part is not meant for the show. All right. Now, tell us how did you get involved in the property business? You know, you didn't study property. You studied something else?
Yeah, I did international business and management. I didn't actually plan to get into property business. So, like I said, so since I was in Perth, and every end of the year I go and stay with Michelle and my brother and sisters. So naturally, I go and hang out in his office. He had a mortgage brokerage business then. So next to our office in Lonsdale Street, there was another business which his friends owns it. So they were doing Australian property marketing. And they were going to set an office. They have offices in Hong Kong, so they went to set another branch office in KL. So he asked me, "Hey Nick, are you going back to Malaysia?" I said, "Yes." I said, "What are you going to do?" He asked me. I said, "Probably have to look for a job first." Then he said, "Will you be interested to join us? We are looking for people to do sales." So I said, "Why not?" You know, and I think that's the start of the 13 years in my real estate career.
Now, who actually mentored you to be in the real estate career? And do you have somebody you want to thank for mentoring you into it?
Of course, my former boss, Auric, and I was very close to our sales manager in Hong Kong, then Chris is still one of my partners today. So a lot of the sales techniques and stuff I actually learned from them.
There's always a mentor, right? In anything that we do.
There's always someone that you, as business people, I think we are quite lonely sometimes when you don't know what to do. So you look for people of like-mindedness to be able to ask them and see whether they can share with us.
Now, your niche of property business is very unique. You don't sell to locals. You sell overseas business, overseas properties to Malaysians, and you sell Malaysians properties to foreigners.
Yeah.
You are very unique. Now, and what makes you take on such a niche market?
I think from my first job, we specialized in cross-border marketing. And why we chose Australia to specialize in Australia first, because Australia in 10 years ago, even now, is still one of the top destinations for Asian families to send their children there, whether to study, for investment, or continue a working life in Australia. So it was very popular then. And since I had connections from my former boss, from Leonard, from my sister, I started to know people there. So, and I was staying there for quite a number of years during spend my holidays there. So I drive around, look around, and sort of try to understand the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yet again, it is really not easy to sell. It is not easy to sell a property. Don't even have to mention if it's somewhere I cannot see. I always have this mentality, try to break myself. If I don't see the property, I will not buy it.
Yeah.
How could you sell so much of Australian and Hong Kong and US property without people even seeing it? Tell us, how do you do it?
That I think you have to come for me. I'll give you some tuition. But okay, let's fall. Since you're talking about this topic, right? Come my mind. 10 years ago, right? Technology was different. When we started to sell properties to people, I had this book. I had to carry this book all the way. I walk around. My sales manager always tell me, this is the book you should have with you. So it's called the Melway, right? So Melway is the Australian map. So at that time, every Thursday or Friday, she will come and say, "Okay, I want to have a look at property in Malvern or in Burwood. Tell me, where is it?" So we will have to memorize, right, which page of the map to open and present the property. So that was sort of become, from there, how you learn is open the book, look at left, right, up, what's the nearest school, what is the nearest shopping center, how far is it to the bus station, how far is it to the city. Of course, now it's changed a lot. Now we have Google Maps, we have Google Earth. No, I can't lie to you. It's there means it's there. You just key in the coordinates, you can find out. So the business has evolved quite a lot in the past 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting, you know, Mel. Yeah, I remember that when I was first started as a salesperson, I carried the KL map around. It was this thick.
Yeah.
To find each and every. I was a sales rep,
Okay.
so I was selling medicine.
Yep.
I was always telling people I was a drug dealer. I was a drug dealer. I was selling drugs to doctors, and we'd use that to find these clinics. You know, and now you have ways, and people still complain the job is hard. You know.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is the challenges in your business? You started so young. You're 25, 26. You came here from Australia. What was your challenges at that time?
Yeah. After 3 years into my first job, then my brother had opportunity. He wanted to come back to Malaysia for a few years to develop an equity funding business. So I thought maybe it's time to take a leap of faith, right? I will join him, and I will handle the property marketing arm. So from that onwards, it started.
So you started. So it's a live show.
Yeah, sorry.
So if it's wrong, you have to continue. So you started your property firm at 26.
3 years into it, about 27, I think, to be correct.
You started with how many staffs?
We had a few staff from Australia, plus ourselves, maybe less than 10, a group of 7. Yeah.
So Judith was with you since the first day.
Judith, when did you join? Maybe Judith joined
2 years later.
2 years later, yeah. She came on a bit later.
We will feature Judith at a later stage of the show, right? So now tell us, you were young and you were vulnerable at that time. You know, you had your brother with you, but you were the boss. So is there no challenges during that time?
Of course, in any businesses there are challenges.
What
right?
are the key aspects that you need to be done to actually make your business successful?
Okay, in real estate marketing, you need to have 2 very important aspects that you have to fulfill. Right? Number 1 is to be able to get the stock, means the developer agrees to let you have the marketing rights to market their product. Okay. Number 2, of course, you have to sell the product for them. You have to be able to find someone to buy it. Right? So in our earlier days, of course, we were a small setup. There were other competitors in town. There were bigger companies that would do project marketing much better. So I sort of came up with, I went to Australia. Leonard gave me some contacts. Other than that, we just go and drive to housing estates, drive to new launches, just go give my name cards, visit people, tell them that, this is what we do. Tell them our story, and hopefully they will list their product with us for sale. Maybe the first, second, or third times we didn't get many people, but once we started getting people, and also at that time with our resources, of course it was limited, but what we spent was we brought a few people from Australia to come and join us here to actually help communicate with the local people over here.
All right.
Yeah.
But tell us, when you started your property firm, you guys were small. Tell us one story, one simple story, one story of you, the challenges that you had and how you overcome. Give us something that impacted you, that changed the course of your business. You have a story for that?
Of course, when we first started, like I said, studying the developers, we helped them. So we started a bit smaller. We only took on projects that we think, with our capacity, we think we could market. But I think towards 2012 to 2017, the market got really hot, right? And there were many developers that are building high rises in Melbourne CBD. So with Leonard's contact, we managed to be able to be appointed as the marketing agent for some of these developers. So we work our way with all our partners. Every weekend, either in KL, Hong Kong, or other markets, we will do the property launches. We'll go there and support. So for many weekends from 2012 to 2016, we were doing that. And at the end, we found that we did quite well. We did really well for a few years.
For the audience out there, it is not just doing well. He is young and rich. Not just doing pretty well.
That's what Ryan says.
He is doing very, very well, and I have to tell you, all the girls outside, he's still single and available. Right. So tell us, what is the most frequent asked question by your clients? What are the most question asked questions?
There are quite a lot, but I think one common question a lot of clients say, yes, I'm almost ready to buy something, when should I buy? When is the best time to purchase a property?
Is there a best time to buy a property?
Number one, I think to determine whether you can buy a property is to see whether you can afford it or not first. Right? A lot of people that start young, yes, foreign properties, you need to have a bit more down payment rather than buying locally. In Australia, you're looking at least 30%. In Thailand, you're buying almost cash. So first of all, you have to be able to afford the first 30%. But to me, I think buying property in the same as buying insurance. You buy it when you're young and the insurance you buy it when you're healthy, right? Property when you buy when you're young, you have more leverage. You can borrow on the longer repayment terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. So is it better to now?
Yeah.
Tell me about the property market right now. We are not in a bubble, but we are in a recession.
Yeah, I think looking at most global economy is unprecedented times, right? So like Australia, Malaysia, many countries, the economic situation will probably deteriorate the next few months, and how fast the property market recovers is depending on how fast the economy recovers. But you look at Australia, right? I think they have pretty much managed the situation pretty well. So they contained the situation quite quickly. I think they're opening back in July, and also due to the fact that they're quite remote, they are the other end of the world, so it was easier for them to control. But at the same time, they have a very strong domestic economy. So Australia-wise, I think there will be some knee-jerk reactions, there will be some corrections in the short run. But we're looking in 2 years down the road, 3 years, and the longer run, the property market will recover. I think even like before the COVID situation, Sydney and Melbourne were really coming back as strong markets. And for us, even during the MCO period, post-MCO, we had clients to come in because they are looking at incentives offered by developers. If incentives are right, they are able to commit and to put down a down payment.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you're looking at the property market should actually comes back soon,
Yeah, maybe not soonish, but at least next year or so, I would say.
So tell us, this is something that I want to ask him on behalf of all the young entrepreneurs outside. If you're listening, please share it with your friends who are actually listening. Share it out, share it with your friends. If you're with us, just share it with your friends. Now, we are going to take questions from the audience for Nick, all right? If you do have a question, if you're a young entrepreneur or a young businessman, you want to start something young, you want to start something off at a young age, you can ask this question. We will try to answer this question. Nick will try to answer these questions for you, all right? So one question for you, Nick. Now, tell us 3 key virtues in you and your business values that you hold that makes you who you are today.
I think the strongest business value, I'll choose the first one first for me, is perseverance. In any business, more often than not, right, things don't really go into plan. So you have to persevere, you have to sit down, you have to think, you have to plan, and change your strategies if they're not right. If you don't do it properly, you have to be persistent. Do it again, try. Continue trying, I would say.
Tell us one thing about you that you think that makes you who you are today. That one thing that makes you who you are today.
I think, like I said, I persevere, and I'm also open to changes, and I listen as well. So I actually also this thing I want to share with entrepreneurs, right? When you want to start a business, if you look nowadays, right, there are a lot of business coaching, entrepreneurship coaching programs, that actually can help. I myself, after I moved from being a salesperson to starting my own business, I joined a business entrepreneurship group called the Vistage program. So this program, we have been appointed a coach. Our coach are usually our mentor, and they are more usually an ex-CEO or an ex-managing director who works for multinational and have more or less looking at retirement. So they have done coaching, and we have our own group. So our group of us could be 12 people, could be 15 people, all business owners from different industries. So we meet up once a month, We share our pains, we share our goals, we speak about what is our business planning for the next year. So this from the first day I started doing business, I was more, like I said, more a salesperson. I look at the accounts, I always depend on my accounts head at the time, Alvina. So I said, what's this, do we have enough money every month? So a lot of things, financial statements and all this, Judith can help me now, but before this, couldn't understand. So after a few years there, I'm quite a slow learner actually, but but I managed to pick up. So like today, I think I'm much better running a business than 10 or 8 years or 6 years ago.
So one thing about you said about joining a mentoring group. I've actually joined mentoring group myself, but on the insurance side now.
Yeah.
Now, what just give us two benefits of joining mentoring group. What do you benefit from joining all this mentoring group?
One, you learn to plan ahead, and my coach always tells me there's definitely something wrong in any business at any one time. Learn to look out for mistakes from the start rather than just go into it and catch it for the end.
So how much normally does it cost?
I think this stage we are paying about maybe 3,000 per quarter. Yeah, it could be expensive investment from the start, but if you're talking about running your own business, I think it is money. You need to spend some money to empower or to learn.
All right.
Yeah.
So for all our audience outside who are listening, here you have it. Nick, the young and upcoming property mogul. Are you going into development soon or not?
Not yet actually. Still not yet.
Is it in your mind?
Of course.
You get it? So it is in his mind. So you might end up one day buying one of his property, not sold by him, but built by him, right? So if you have any questions for Nick, you can actually ask us throughout the program. And then the later part of the show, we are going in now, is to talk about the property investment in Portugal. Of all places on Europe, Portugal. So we will go into that session very soon. We will take a 30-second break and to show you Portugal, and Judith, the director and also a partner of Nick, will come on, business partner of Nick will come on to the show to talk about Portugal investment on behalf of International Property Settlement, right? So I'll see you guys in 20 minutes. Don't go away, stay tuned. The show is on. 30 seconds, we are back. Hi Judith.
Hi, good morning.
So let me introduce, this is Judith. Judith is the director for IPS International Property Settlement, and she is the business partner of Nick, and they have been together doing business for the last 10 years. And I think Judith, you have seen him, his ups and downs, his throwing of glasses, stamping of floors, slapping of people, no lah, right? So you have seen everything, right? Okay, and he is like your little brother.
Yeah, I think we're true and true business partners. We bounce ideas off each other. We sort of, with every property that we choose to market, we talk about it. In fact, it's a lot of planning on the properties that now come to us, and then we take a look at location, the viability, popularity in this part of the world, and then we run through and choose to market it.
Yeah.
Plan every year.
So tell us a little bit on IPS. What is International Property Settlement? Tell us a little bit on what you do.
So as Nick mentioned earlier, we've been in the Australian property marketing and consulting business for the past 10 years. And now we have diversified into other markets, for example, UK, Thailand, even Portugal, and Cambodia as well. So yeah, it's been a journey, learning journey.
So now, before IPS, there is a company called Rescom. You want to tell us about? You want to talk about Rescom?
Yeah, because when we first started, like I say, Australia's Property Specialists, our company was called Rescom Australia. So Rescom was a brand in Australia because my brother was part of it. We're doing mortgage and loans then. So we brought the brand name back to Malaysia, but we found that along the way, since we have moved to doing other countries, we have one brand that's easier international property settlements.
Right.
To the brand.
So Rescom was doing a lot more Australian property, and IPS is all around the world.
Yeah, by now more diverse.
Yeah, I've seen you selling bungalow lots in US, Florida.
Yeah, as well.
You know, that was amazing. Now, what do you guys do best for your clients? Tell us what stands out. What do you guys do for your clients?
I think we look at the client's needs. So first of all, so I think whether for children's education, for investment, for staying themselves, we look at their needs and we're able to sort of narrow down internationally on the type of property which would suit them. And like we've stayed, here in the industry for more than 10 years, so we're also able to take them through not only the purchasing process but the whole investment process. We still have clients that call us up 5 years later, 10 years later, and want to sort of change the investment strategy of their initial investment. For example, now Airbnb or short term is popular, so they want to rent from long term to short term, and we're able to sort of recommend them the correct property manager or operator to change their investment strategies.
So basically what you're trying to tell us is what Nick was telling us just now, that you will listen to your clients first, what they need.
In this industry, we have to listen and understand what their goals are first, because our clients are quite diverse. Some may have 20, 30, 40 property investors maybe. Some are buying for the first time. Some are buying for their children. Some are thinking, whether they want to migrate in the next few years. So there are people from all walks of life, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So basically, people who wants to buy any property overseas, you can actually see them. We will send you the link later on to where to see Judith. But actually, if you look at our scroller title at the bottom here, International Property, you can go to visit their website, or you can call Judith later on. All right. So for advice. Now let's go Portugal. Why Portugal of all countries? Is it because Cristiano Ronaldo they choose to sell properties in Portugal? Tell us a bit about Portugal.
I wish. I am a fan, but about 4 years ago, we were sort of having a conversation with an old friend of mine, and they were looking at a golden visa program in Portugal. And so Nick and I, we sort of saw the opportunity of the Portugal properties and the related golden visa program as well. So the properties, what we found, just using our knowledge of Australian property before, we found that we could quite easily find information about sort of the location and also the sort of how the properties would be managed, the investment plan, valuations, titles, and all that. And it was quite easy to do due diligence on. So we got quite comfortable. For example, PricewaterhouseCoopers actually names Portugal as the best place to invest in 2019. And so just using that knowledge, we were able to sift through a lot of properties which we thought would be suitable for investors. And then there's the golden visa as well. That is sort of the cream on the cake for the property investors.
So the golden visa was the cream of the cake. Now we will talk about the golden visa in a little bit. So I'm trying to just understand, why not Spain, but why Portugal?
Okay, Spain, the golden visa for Spain is to lead up to the citizenship program is a little bit more, there's more requirements, so the applicant actually has to stay there for more than half the time. So we found that the criteria for Portugal is less. They only have to stay there for an average of 7 days per year, and it is a very likely gateway to Europe for an alternative residency, and also to open up education options, work options for us and also our children.
Right. So we are looking at it says European passport. You know, in one of the write-up, you're saying that you can actually go to Portugal, buy a property, and get a European passport through the Golden Visa program.
Correct. So
Can you tell us more about that? Yeah.
The Portugal Golden Visa program is actually a very simple program. So there's mainly actually only 3 criteria. One is that the investor invests in a suitable property, a property that qualifies. And that's in a way our job. So we do the due diligence on the property, whether it's the location, the developer, the development, and the suitability for the Golden Visa. And then the next criteria is just that during the 5 years, it's a 5-year temporary visa program. They have to stay an average of 7 days per year. In fact, it's quite easy. It's 7 days in the first year, 14 days over year 2 and 3, and 14 days over year 4 and 5. That's the second criteria. Third criteria is just that their police checks are clear. So there's actually only 3 criteria. After the 5 years, they can choose for them and also their reunified members. So that's the spouse, children, even in-laws and parents that are dependent on the main applicant. They can get the either permanent residency or citizenship. Citizenship then opens up 27 countries in the Eurozone. So whether that's for, again, work opportunities, alternative residency, or education for the children, it opens up those countries.
So you're saying the criteria to buy the property is what, $500,000?
Yeah.
For
Euros?
cities?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How much? What is the criteria to buy?
Yeah. So in general, if it's any property, it could be a vineyard, it could be a villa, it could be an apartment in the city, it's 500,000. But if that property is in the urban rehabilitation area, more than 30 years old, and for renovation in the urban areas, it drops to 350,000, that criteria. And if it's in the outskirts, it drops to 280,000. So again, depending on the client's budget, we look for a suitable property and investment.
So I heard vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying you can buy a vineyard with 350,000 euro?
Yeah, not really. Well, probably yes, but we have seen vineyards for sale for like 700,000 euros, which is like suitable for 2 golden visas. And so there's different types of investments and different sort of depending on what the client may want.
So vineyard is a romantic buy. Would you recommend do you recommend the audience to actually go for vineyard, to buy a vineyard in Portugal?
It depends, I suppose, on how involved the client wants to be in terms of managing of that kind of investment, or whether it suits their business background and knowledge. I think for any business, I suppose one should not invest in a business that they don't know too well. I think that might be a general rule. But yeah, certainly there are such investments for sale.
So you heard it, guys. You can buy a vineyard in Portugal and get a golden visa. Now, the next question is, why would you want to get a passport, a European passport? What good does it do for a family? I mean, enlighten us. What good does it do for a family?
Mm-hmm. So I think we have marketed Portuguese property in Philippines, Cambodia, in Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia. I think some may be looking just for alternative residency in Hong Kong as well. For example, it's an alternative residency is actually quite a trend currently for Hong Kong. And so alternative residency, but secondly, really, I think 60% of our clients are doing it for our children, particularly for education. So, for example, if we have one of our kids wants to do medicine in, say, Ireland, which is pretty popular, a lot of Malaysian doctors have graduated from Ireland, a cost that a foreign student would pay would be something like 40,000 euros per year versus if they are a resident of Europe, they would pay maybe 5,000 euros per year. So the cost savings is actually a lot, and medicine is such a long course. long course, it could be, you know, a savings of 200,000 or maybe even 300,000 euros, and it also allows them with the residency to specialize back in Ireland or Europe. So that's one example, but we also have clients whose kids are doing robotics engineering in Germany, or looking at doing hospitality in Switzerland, art in France. Europe has opens up so many education opportunities and also work opportunities that Asia might not have.
So what you are telling us is this. So I have 4 kids myself. My wife is a medical doctor. So if I want to send my children to Ireland to do medicine, if I invest, say, 250,000 or 500,000 euro now into Portugal, my son, which is 12 years old, will be very likely to get a European passport when he's 18.
Yeah.
5 years, right? The golden visa.
Yeah.
And he could actually enter to Ireland to study medicine at 1/10 of an international student.
Or a fraction, 20%.
20%.
20%.
More like
Yeah.
20%.
Yes. So with 4 kids, I mean, if you save like 200,000 euros per kid, 4 kids, that's 800,000. That's
I can
quite
buy the
sizable.
vineyard.
You can buy the vineyard. You can.
I might as well buy the vineyard and start sending them to Europe, right?
Yeah. And what's more important, the investments that we source have a yield. So we ensure that they are in locations where, you know, they yield a good yield, and they have a good opportunity for capital appreciation as well, due to supply and demand and the economic drivers of each location.
Okay. So so we're going to use this camera for a while.
Okay.
Right? So let's continue our show. So that is one of the biggest plus point, right? When you're going to do about Europe visa, is that you can actually save a lot for education, for your children and all that.
Yep. So I think it's a part of education planning, where I think that's a main driver. I would say a significant driver of obtaining a Portugal Golden Visa.
So now, Judith, can you walk us through the process of getting a property with IPS? Can you walk us through the whole process so that our audience will understand how it works and all that? So, my dear audience, if you have any question to ask, you can actually ask Judith or Nick, and they are more than happy to actually answer your question. Can you walk us through how actually you go around doing the purchase process?
Sure. So I think any property around the world, it starts with understanding the client's needs, and then looking at, whether, for example, if they're buying in Portugal, might be unlikely that they're looking to stay there. So it could be for yield and capital appreciation, looking at their budgets, and then we source the property, or we may recommend a property up front for investment. And then after that, we look at doing due diligence on the property, and the sort of developer and all that as well. Once the property is purchased, we also take our clients through to the property settlement, which is why we call international property settlements, as in property inspections and handover. And then particularly if it's for investment, we would also take our clients through the property management process, as well as in recommending a property manager, whether it's for Airbnb, which is really popular now because you can then stay in your own property, or for long-term rental as well.
So what you do is that you don't just collect money and buy a property for them. You advise their needs. You make sure that they settle into the location. You do their visas for them, open bank accounts and all that?
Sure, yeah. So particularly for Portugal, after making that investment, we also take them through the Golden Visa process, as in opening the bank account, because they have to invest their money in their own bank account before they purchase the property. The first time, actually, we do all the paperwork on that in Malaysia through a legal firm called AFCO Legal, who have an office here in Malaysia as well, and they are also in Spain and Portugal. And then the first time they have to go is about 6 months later, where they have to do their biometrics. And then after that, the 5 years starts ticking, where they have to stay the average 7 days a year. We've done quite a few now, and we take them through the whole process.
That's wonderful. That is something different, right? You guys don't just take the money, invest, and I'll see you next 5 years, maybe you won't see me again, That's my experience of a property agent, You see them during the deal, and after the deal, then that's it. You know. But you guys are different. You guys follow up throughout the 5 years and make sure that they settle in, they get their visas, they get their passports and all that.
Yeah.
Okay. So for all the people out there, if you do want to invest in a overseas properties, Nick and Judith is probably one of the best people you want to see, right? To invest in Europe, right? Now tell us, what is that one thing you do that makes you that differentiate you from the rest of the property agents? What do you do for your clients that other people don't do?
Well, I suppose like you said earlier, we are in the service industry, so I suppose just being in existence for the past more than 10 years, and for you 20 years, I think we have the longevity in dealing with the clients and servicing them. And I think that is rather rare for businesses such as us to be in the service industry for such a long time and still doing the same thing. So I think that differentiates us a lot from the other overseas property consultants.
I can see a lot of relativity between us, you, Judith, Nick, and me. You know, we are in the service business. All right, just tell us. I understand that you also serve clients that you have not sold to, but help them to settle in. Now that is like me is serving clients who have not bought from me, but helping them to make the claim.
Exactly.
You know, I'm in the insurance business.
Yeah.
Tell us one story, you know, maybe one example that actually, you know, impacts you the most in your business. How did you help people to actually settle in, even though the property is not with you?
Yeah. I think like for some developers, because they other than in Malaysia, they have other agents who market for them as well, and we're coming up to settlement time. You know, these people can't find their agents that they purchase from the point of time. So developers ask us for a favor, Nick, Judith, can you just go and assist these clients, make sure they get their loans, make sure they know the settlement process and stuff. So, well, for us it's not a lot of work because we are maybe doing it for our own clients. So why not? You know, it's just part of our service.
I think that's what we specialize in, which is why we call ourselves international property settlements. We actually take our clients through the settlements, not only the initial purchase.
That is wonderful, you know. I think that tells why Nick and Judith is doing so well in the overseas property sales. You know, and overseas property sales is not as easy as the local ones because we understand the local laws. And we need advice from advisors like you to understand the overseas law. And each country, like you say, Spain is different from Portugal.
Yeah.
UK is very different from Spain.
Yeah.
And you hardly can buy any property in Germany, right?
You can actually.
You can.
You can,
Yes.
huh?
You can.
Yeah.
You know, I heard German has a very strict rules on buying and selling residential houses because they want to protect the local residents, you know, of price hike.
So every country has different rules, and I think what we also do specialize in is we specialize in not only the sort of, you know, the recommending the property, but looking at all these different rules in terms of taxation, different tax rules, different whether you can sell to locals, sell to, you know, overseas buyers, and also working with the lawyers through the conveyancing process as well, looking at the contracts.
So we've been hearing a lot of goods and a lot of positive things. Can you tell us some risks? What are the risks that is involved actually in investing in Portugal or Europe?
I think with every property there is investing, even in Malaysia, there's several risks. So one is location risk, for example. So looking at that particular location and the economic drivers in the location. Also looking at supply and demand in that particular location. So that's one of the so I suppose a risk that we try and mitigate as much. So Nick and I were familiar with like the sort of drivers of education. So properties near universities and all that tend to perform better in terms of rentability. And then after that there is transaction risk, so we also look at the conveyancing. There's also what to do with the property during the time when you're holding it. Those are sort of, you know, risks that we try and mitigate as much as possible, also in terms of the purchasing the property, in terms of like who the developer is and all that. So we do look into these factors when we talk about choosing a property to market.
So it is not all rosy, but there are still risks involved. So basically all our listeners need to actually look into all these factors before you decide where to invest your money, right? Now, just one question from my heart is that between Europe, US, and Australia, where would you recommend us to invest right now?
I think there's no one single city that I don't think there's one single city that you can just say because we need to understand what is it that you're looking for. In terms of migration, Australia is probably not as easy as it is now than before. So maybe Europe, maybe Portugal. As a place to stay, a lot of Asian families or such, they still have a lot of liking for Australia. So it depends. There's no one answer for it.
So Nick, tell us. You know, I would like to send my son to China for his studies. Do you sell China?
We haven't. We haven't looked at it.
The closest is Hong Kong.
Closest is Hong Kong. Also probably because I can't speak much Mandarin, so every time I go there, I just have to keep my mouth quiet.
Thank you. You know, thank you, Judith and Nick for coming up to the show. I'm so happy that after 3 weeks persuading Nick to come, and at last he agreed to come to the show. And this show, it is about interviewing successful people. You know, why do I do this? I think I did this show, it is because I think people like you, your story, and people like your story, Judith, should be heard in the market. We are hearing a lot of stories of successful stories like Michael Jordan and all that, but those you cannot emulate, you cannot copy. They're just too far away, you know. Or Tan Sri, who. It is just too far away. But stories of Nick, story of Judith Leow, it is something the young generation can grasp, and they are close. They are closer to you. You're not too far away for them to copy, you know, and to be successful. That is why the show it is done, and I'm forever grateful to have Nick and Judith to come in to the show. I have to apologize. I have to turn the camera around because the main camera is not working. I don't know why. The risk of doing a live show, it is just that there is no take two. Finish it off, right? And that's the candy part of the show, right? Because we are just human. Things happen, just like business. Things happen. The main camera just died. So thank you so much, Judith and Leow. And we have one guy who actually, Christine, actually asked something. Now Christine was just saying thanks. You guys are amazing.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, Christine, you want to buy any property? Please go and see them now. If our guests, our audience want to see, where do we send them to you?
Okay, our office is in Fahrenheit 88. You can call us on the number or look for us on intprops, intprops.com.
Yes. So either you type in international property settlements, or you type in improps property improps.com.my.com, or you call Judith and
you can call me or Nick, and I think if you Google us, you probably can find us, or you can find us through Liman.
Sure. So for all our guests outside and all our audience, what we're going to do is we're going to put their initials and their phone number on this show at the description part, and you can actually click in their website and also click in the phone number and give them a call. You can either call Judith or Nick if you need a. So tell us, next weekend, where are you doing? What are you going to do? You're going to do a show, right? Every weekend you have a show going on. You have a property show.
Yeah, because at the moment we can only do it via appointments due to COVID. So anything, just give us a call. We'll set an appointment with you, whether the weekend or weekdays.
We have a property showroom in Fahrenheit, so you're welcome to come and visit us there. We've been doing weekly webinars. So tomorrow we're doing one on Perth property, a property called Perth Hub, and next week we'll be on Melbourne and Portugal as well. So
you can join us online on the webinars.
We'll send you the links.
So what we're going to do is that they will send me the link on Perth Hub.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it up on limrananliveshow.com, Limran Live Facebook page.
Yeah.
And you guys, if you guys are interested to look at the property in Perth, you can actually click that link. What time tomorrow?
3 o'clock tomorrow.
Same time, 3 o'clock tomorrow. So I would love to actually join in and look at it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. So that's it for our show. Thank you so much for coming in, for Chris, for Nick, and Judith. Thanks for coming in, and that is the show for today. And I'll see you guys next week. And tomorrow, do not forget, I'll be doing a show on insurance matters. Tomorrow, I'll be doing a show related to young professionals, the how and the methods, the correct methods of buying a policy for your family. How do you calculate that? What is the right amount of premium, and what are the rule of thumbs that you should actually do? All right. So tomorrow in the afternoon, tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, I'll be doing that session on insurance matters. So see you guys. See you again, and until next time. Bye.
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 See you.
Yeah, you have to say see you again.
Bye.
Okay.